I'm going to walk through the installation process involved with installing a TripleShot transducer from Lowrance to the Hobie Guardian plate using some of the components included in your owner's manual. Just like the installation with the total scan transducer, you'll want to install the scooped plate that's in the small parts package with your owner's manual. Remove the screws at the front of the plate and the flat through plate will drop right out. You'll reuse these same screws for installing the scooped plate to the front of the Guardian. From the inside of the transducer, just slide it in like that, and then you can hold it in place with your finger while you attach the fasteners. So I'm just going to start them a little bit by finger and then use a Phillips head screwdriver to finish securing the fasteners. If you're using a drill for this step, I recommend keeping the clutch on a rather light setting so you don't damage the plastic. It is really durable, but you don't want to over tighten it with a drill. You can either choose to feed the transducer cable first up through the bottom of the plate, or you can come in from the inside and slip the TripleShot in from the inside. Just let that cable hang forward a little bit. Now the next step, once you've got it loosely assembled, is to use the extension tabs to extend forward off the transducer mount, and you'll slide those in just like the previous Lowrance Ready mount. So there's some little tabs there, and those will slide into the channels on the vertical post. And you can see I've pushed it all the way down. I've got the extension tabs oriented facing the bow, and I'm just gonna secure those to the vertical post. So first slip one of these stainless C-clips over that screw that's included, and then another one from the other side, and then a nylock nut to secure that into place. And I'm going to keep the whole assembly loose until everything's set and I'm ready to tighten it all up. We've included 2 friction washers to snug up the assembly between the transom mount part of your transducer and the extension tabs. We've also included mounting hardware. So I'm going to insert that through the transom mount that's part of the transducer and through the friction washers. And I'm going to insert this small washer over the screw and then loosely assemble my nylock nut on the outside of that. And now that you've got everything held together, I'd flip this over and push it up tight against the plate and make sure, that'll allow you to make sure that this extension tab is sitting at the right height. So now I'm going to use a 3/8 wrench and a Phillips screwdriver. I'm going to snug everything up. You can see we're sitting pretty flush with the bottom of the transducer plate, but you'll notice that there's a little bit of play in the transducer. It comes away from the plate just a little bit, so we're going to use a couple zip ties to snug that up. And all I'm going to do to install those zip ties, I'm going to use a 3/16 bit, and I'm going to create a couple holes on either side of the transducer. And you can just eyeball it and make sure it's lined up somewhat straight. I like to go in through the inside of the plate, around the back of my transducer, and back through. And that way you have the connection on the zip tie on the inside. And don't be afraid of this affecting your reading. You'll get perfectly clear readings with the zip tie. So if you would like to add a second one a little bit farther forward, you can do so. There is a zip tie included with your Lowrance unit. Those of you that have purchased the TripleShot, so you can use that one, or if you prefer to use something a little bit thicker, you could go with a heavier gauge zip tie. I'm going to go ahead and install the second zip tie that I've picked up from the local hardware store, just for a little bit of extra security. Tag end's trimmed, and move over to the other one, trim the tag end. As you can see, that TripleShot is held right up to the bottom of the plate, nice and secure. And it's also protected by the nose bump feature. That way, if you end up colliding with anything, this is the first thing to hit, and your transducer will retract into the hole. Now, to activate that retraction feature, you will be required to remove these screws. With all 6 screws removed around the frame of the Guardian, you can now activate the retraction feature. Once you've reached this step in installing your TripleShot, every step moving forward will be the same as carrying out a total scan install. So as far as attaching the bridle to the control line that's manipulated from the cockpit, the same steps apply. One thing you'll need to remember before you start the transducer installation process, you want to remove this plate that's covering the scupper hole above the Guardian. Removing this plate will allow you to feed the entire length of the transducer cable up through the scupper hole so that you can route it in the hole and then back out again in front of the seat. So you can remove that and just kind of let it fall through there, that's fine. Now that we've got our total scan mounted on the Guardian plate, we can feed the cable through the scupper above the Guardian mount and just pull it all the way through. One critical step when installing a total scan or any other side imaging transducer is that you'll need to activate the retractability feature on the transducer mount. So to do that, you'll untie this factory tied knot and retie it around this bridle. That'll give you control inside the cockpit for raising and lowering the Guardian plate. I've just tied a double overhand knot, and it helps right here to grab a pair of needle nose pliers or something like that and pull on the tag end of the knot so to snug it up. So now that you're all bridled up, make sure that this knot sits at the center of the bridle, kind of even with these posts right here. Then you can invert the transducer mount and secure it to the bottom of the boat with these 3 screws here. Again, I like to manually do these with a simple screwdriver to make sure I don't cross thread or over thread into the inserts. Once you're finished up underneath the boat, you want to do a quick check that this pulley line is routed correctly. So it should come out of this hole and route from the wide end of the plate up over the top of the pulley and then exit down on the other side of the pulley closest to the screw hole and go straight down to the bridle. I'm going to leave this loose for now until I get all the cable threaded through this 3-way plug and inside the hole. Use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 3 screws fastening the 3-way plug to the opening. Included with your owner's packet will be a bunch of rubber fittings, so you want to find the one that fits around the transducer cable snugly and won't let any water in once it's closed up. And then the next step is to take the gasket off the bottom of the 3-way plug and put that over the plug of the transducer cable and bring it all the way down here below where you've installed this rubber fitting. Slip the lipped side of the gasket over the plug first and pull it all the way down, all the way below the transducer cable fitting that I installed on the wire. Go ahead and open the center hatch, feed the cable all the way through, and then go ahead and pull the entire length of the cable. So I've removed the solid plug from the 3-way plug, and I'm just going to go ahead and slip our 3-way plug assembly over that rubber fitting around the transducer cable, line it up with the gasket and the pre-drilled holes, and then these small screws will go in, and you want to fasten this down snugly but not too tight. You don't want to compress the gasket too much. Once you've finished that, you can fasten this plate into place That'll prevent things like weights and soft plastic baits going down into the cavity. Thanks for following along with this installation video. For installation videos associated with the bullet, split shot, HDI skimmer, and total scan transducers, we do have those available to watch on our YouTube channel, so please watch and subscribe, and we'll see you on the water.